There's only so long that threats could be kept at bay without something happening. In 2020, the long-standing rivalry nearly claimed the life of Big Scarr when he was shot and wounded. The bullet went into his hip, but because he was moving, it traveled to his lungs. This led him to being in critical condition, having to undergo surgery to take it out and save his life. Fortunately, Big Scarr survived.
Todd-Town family, what's the biz? Y'all already know what it is. Sending them positive vibes to my Todd-Town family. Y'all know how I rock. If you haven't already, please hit that like, share, subscribe, and notification button so you can stay up to date with the latest and greatest content you don't want to miss. Tune in. Anywho, without further ado, welcome to Todd-Town.
Following more breaking news tonight. This is about a Memphis rapper connected to Young Dolph. Rapper Big Scarr has died.
R.I.P. Frozo.
From the outside looking in, fame and success in the music industry appears to be a dream come true. But in the hip-hop genre, that is sometimes furthest from the truth. Some rappers have endured countless battles, losses, and trauma through their journey to making it out from the life that caused them pain. And sometimes, success only worsens that pain experienced throughout their lives. This truth is seen in the life of Alexander Woods, known in the music industry as Big Scarr, who had it all, but lost it all due to the demons of his past. Coming up in Memphis as a child, he lived in an environment that was surrounded by vices, not conducive to a positive pathway. However, that wasn't the cut to his heart that opened his mind to something that would eventually claim his life: depression. Even being young, there was one thing that he consistently prayed for. Big Scarr's grandmother played a huge role in raising him, so he always asked God to lengthen her life until he reached the age of 21. His reason for this was that he didn't believe he would be strong enough to handle losing her through his adolescence. Sadly, his worst nightmare occurred at a young age. His grandmother passed away. That left a void in the heart of Big Scarr and never actually left him, even as he aged and found success in the music industry. According to his uncle, the death of his grandmother was something he took very hard. From there, his life didn't get easier. Already having to carry that pain at such a young age, he lost more loved ones along the way in tragic situations that only aided in ripping the hole in his heart wider. Big Scarr was strong in the way he was carrying depression that had a hold on his mind. He didn't know it then, but that burden would push him closer to the thing that would ultimately take his life. His experiences and trauma went beyond being around those he loved. His affiliations were allegedly tied to a gang calling themselves RR, which stands for Rich and Ruthless. That affiliation came with the threat of danger looming over his shoulder from a sworn rival gang named Trula Mafia.
My day one nigga, we got my nigga, Blue Man, my other day one nigga. Anyway, by the way, we are the founder of RR.
So
Richard Ruthless, man.
Hey, now what's RR for people that don't know?
Richard Ruthless. They told you Richard Ruthless. But now we rich.
There's only so long that threats could be kept at bay without something happening. In 2020, the long-standing rivalry nearly claimed the life of Big Scarr when he was shot and wounded. The bullet went into his hip, but because he was moving, it traveled to his lungs. This led him to being in critical condition, having to undergo surgery to take it out and save his life. Fortunately, Big Scarr survived, but not without the marks on his skin as a reminder for how blessed he was to make it through such a terrifying ordeal. Big Scarr had a way with bouncing back and carrying his trauma with strength. Before he could even recover, he continued to pursue his dream as a rap artist. He knew that the way to remove himself from all of those woes surrounding him was to find success and change his life for the better. Bandaged up and still in pain, he rallied with fellow Memphis rappers to shoot a music video for the song Saucy Boys. Within that same song, along with other tracks like Frozone, Big Scarr draws reference to his near-demise attack as a means to taunt his rivals who tried to end his life but failed. All that time, Big Scarr was battling something even more dangerous than his enemies. Still, no matter what, he continued pushing forward, always striving to make it, always aiming to take his music to the top and bring those still living with him. And sure enough, that's exactly what he did. Big Scarr inked a record deal with Gucci Mane's 1017 label, making all of his efforts and determination worth it. Big Scarr made it. He found success and fame. He had the money to have any life he wanted, but even riches couldn't take away the biggest threat to his life, his mental health. By this time, he found success. Big Scarr had not only lost a lot of loved ones, he was almost hit and survived about 4 times. He had it all, but behind closed doors, something was still missing. Something that continued to eat away at his heart. The grief and loss over the years before he made it big in the music industry left a lingering pain that money couldn't wipe away. In order to cope, Big Scarr turned to harmful paraphernalia like pills as a means to remain sane through all of the trauma weighing him down. Over time, it became evident that his mind was lost in the high, almost looking like he wasn't even really present. His friends began picking up that he had an addiction problem when seeing him in music videos. According to one of them, by the name of Kato 2X, Big Scarr could barely even raise his arms due to how high he was off the pills he was taking.
I told him it was too high. He was like, man, I ain't. Pulled me in the room. He like, I'm like, you too high, bro. You like a junkie. Like, he was telling me he wasn't no junkie. Like, do you pay for my drug? I'm like, nah, I don't, but I'm telling you, you can't even move your arms type shit. Like, you couldn't even move your arms.
Others around him began noticing the changes and mental health
the fact they mention it
Big
lets
Scarr
you know they
was experiencing.
care. You know what I'm saying?
The pills were helping him cope, but the downside was that it was also pushing him further and further away from any semblance of himself. It was literally slowly fading him away. Big Scarr wasn't blind to his addiction problem and knew to himself that if he didn't get it under control, it would be the end of him. He eventually checked himself into a facility to try and change the trajectory of where he was heading. Sadly, just about a week later, after getting out of the facility, Big Scarr passed away. News broke on December 21st, 2022, that he was no longer with us. The speculation began circulating about what caused his passing. At first, some thought it was due to a vehicular accident. Then others said it was rumored to be due to a shooting from his rivals. In due time, however, the truth was revealed. Big Scarr passed away due to an accidental overdose on prescription pills. His uncle would later confirm that Big Scarr was at his girlfriend's house in Memphis when he OD'd. A wave of sorrow rushed over the music industry, even more so for those who knew him personally. Across social media, posts sharing the hurt of his loss and condolences flooded from peers and fans alike. According to his friend, Big 30, him and Big Scarr had numerous conversations about his growing pill addiction. Sadly, Big Scarr wasn't able to escape the traumas of his past, and his mental health became dependent on the dangerous coping mechanism. His passing not only left a lot of hurt in people's hearts, but some felt a bit of guilt for not realizing just how bad his addiction was, wishing they had focused less on themselves and more on him. Mental health is no joke. Money can't make it disappear. Fame can't push it out of your mind. Materialism won't dissolve the pain, and success won't make things magically better. The
Unfortunately.
only thing that can help mental health is getting the help needed to address the issues at the root of the problem and learn to overcome the trauma and move forward. Big Scarr tried, but before he could figure out how to move forward, he lost the fight. His legacy will live on through the music he left behind. Rest in peace, Big Scarr.
R.P. to Big Scarr, man. Frozone. That was so unfortunate the day that we heard, that news broke. Very sad. I feel like he would have been one of the biggest artists right now, honestly. Had he still been here with us, I feel like he would have been one of the biggest. He was nice, man. It's unfortunate that the addiction had to, succumb, but man, it just kind of makes me look at the other artists under 1017, Enchanting. Same situation. It's kind of just like, watching them fade away. You know what I'm saying? Kind of in a way, like just watching them fade away doing it. She had the same situation. I don't know her story too clearly, but from what I was hearing, same thing, overdose. It's unfortunate, they dealing with them demons, having the mental issues. And it really seemed like he had people that really cared about him. I mean, you can hear people kind of bringing it up. That's when people care about you. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I've been around and seen it when nobody said nothing. They witnessing it, but ain't nobody mentioning it. Ain't nobody saying nothing. They just letting them do it, especially if they the breadwinner. If they the one bringing the money in, ain't nobody gonna check them. But, he seemed to have people around that really cared, that would mention it to him and bring it up like, hey, man, that's people that care. They letting you know, hey, we see your problem and we gotta kick that. So, RP, man, it's unfortunate, just with experience and my profession, you see a lot of times where they'll check into rehab, and a lot of times the rehab is the reason. You go to rehab and you sit in there, you get cleaned up, and then when they get released and they do relapse, well, you in your mind you think you can, do the same amount, or if not, they almost do a little bit more trying to chase that same high, but it's an imbalance because you got clean, and they don't understand that. That's usually what kickstart that overdose. So that's that rehab is, to me, is what could have possibly did it. And I know that might sound crazy, not blaming, but I'm just saying the fact that he went into rehab, had that break, and came out. And a lot of times they go back harder and they'll overdo their tolerance. And that's, unfortunate, So, man, RP to Big Scarr again, man. Frozo, man. RP, man, you will be truly missed. Music will not be forgotten. Like I said, I believe if he was still here, man, he'd be one of the top, be one of the greatest stomping grounds for sure, for sure. That was another great one. Hey, man, until next time, peace.
Yeah. Whoa.